Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another Thursday. All right, just wanted to make sure that my audio was off on my other camera here, so I am not catching audio going through in a loop. It's really annoying when it does that. So anyway, I'm glad you guys are here. And if you are, don't forget to say hello. And if I don't know you because you've not been around, tell me where you're from. I'd love to know. So I'm hoping that some of you maybe saw my ad over on Instagram today where I reminded you about running with scissors and the projects that we'd be making. So maybe I will have a few new people headed on over. So let's see. I'm not seeing any chat yet. Oh, there we go. You guys are just popping up. Roberta, you say, I sound good. That's fabulous. Thank you for letting me know. And hello, Nancy. Glad to see you and glad that you're having a nice day in San Francisco. The winter will soon be upon us and you will have all those dreary days and that bay breeze coming through that puts that chill in the air. I remember that so vividly. Anyway, hello to all of you. Ann Taylor, okay, every time I see your name, I think about shopping. Ann Taylor is one of my favorite stores to shop at Ann Taylor Loft. And every time I see your name, I'm like, oh, my favorite store. Anyway, I'm glad you guys are out here. Okay, so today, I really kind of need to dive into it because the projects that we're going to do, I hope that I can fit them into the 1 hour that we have together. We are using our stamp set of the month, our stamp focus set, which is the Wild and Free stamp focus. And this is by Altenew and it has a die set, remember, and then it also has the masks and the mask stencil. We are going to be using the mask and the mask stencils today so you can see how I use them and some cool ways to incorporate them into your projects. So Altenew has quite a few stamp sets that come with the with the stencils and the masks, and you might not know how to use them, so I thought I would show you a couple different ways that make them work really well. So we're going to use those today. We're going to do some ink spray, and I don't think I've done too much of that here, so I thought I would share a little bit of that. And actually it's because the backgrounds that I picked for today came from my scrap bin. So I had pulled some scraps earlier in the week for an Instagram live I did for Altenew, and I thought, let me just pull some more scraps for our live together here. So we're going to do that. All right, so I'm going to head down to my hands view here. And while I do that, don't forget that all of the products are listed down in the description. And there's also the link that I have pinned to the top of our comment section here. Those are affiliate links, so if you use them and check out, I might receive a small commission, and that's at no additional cost to you. The money that I get for that helps me to support this crafty education channel and to keep it free for all of you. So thank you for that. Hello to everyone that's joining, Wisconsin and Antioch and Indy, and we've got people from all over the country. So glad to see you. And I'm sure we'll get some folks popping in from overseas. I know it's a little late over there. Sometimes you guys catch me on the replay. So if it is the replay, hello to you anyway. All right, so let's take a look at today's projects. Oh my goodness. So here we go. These are the cards we're going to do. So this one is a 1-layer card. We are going to do it on a base piece because I didn't want, this one I actually did on the card base itself, but I think we'll do this one on a separate piece just because, sometimes you mess up a little. And I always tend to do things on their own piece and then add them to the card base when they're good and ready. So this is the first card, or one of the cards we're going to do. There's lots of detail in here. And I use the masks to mask off all those little pieces and create that beautiful floral arrangement. And then here's the other one. And this is a smorgasbord of shape and texture in the background there, isn't it? So I used a stencil, I used the reverse on the stencil, and then I used the stencil from the stamp set to create some shadows. So, or silhouettes, I should say. So there we go. And I pulled in 2 different sentiments from some different stamp sets so you can see how some of those options will work for us today. So the first thing we're going to do is the whole background bit. And I'm going to pull in my Splat Box because this can make a mess. All right, So we're going to do the single layer one first, because that way I can set it aside to dry, and because the stencil one takes just a little bit more effort. And actually I need to grab a piece of scrap for that too. So the first one here is Puffy Heart. This is an ink spray by Altenew, and it has a little bit of metallic shimmer in it. So this one you definitely have to make sure that you shake up. And just get that all mixed up and in there. Okay, so all I have to do is spray this a couple times. I don't want to get too crazy with it. So a few spritzes really is all that needs. And you can see maybe that the paper curled up. See how that's curled up like that? When it's dry, it will go back to being flat. So I'm not too worried about that. And it has just a really delicate shimmer to it. It is not super, super shimmery. All right. So if you like just the look of a little shimmery sheen, but not too much, these sprays really do have a nice sheen to them. Okay, so this actually is almost dry, but I'm going to set that aside. All right, and let me grab, I need a paper towel. And I do need I kind of need some scrap paper, so honestly I just grabbed a piece of watercolor paper. So I'm just going to wipe this out so I don't get any pink on my next project here. That's good. All right, so our next background for this one is a two-part background, and I'm using a stencil for this. So let me, where'd all my stuff go? It's right here. Derp. Okay. So I'm using this stencil from scrapbook.com. It's called Moroccan Tile. And what I have to do first, that'll work, is get the blue on this, because that is all the spaces in between here is that blue. Okay. And for this one, I used Distress Oxide sprays, and I used Blueprint Sketch and Lucky Clover. Okay, so both of these need to be shook up as well, because the oxide likes to pool up at the bottom. You want to make sure that that is nice and distributed. All right, so I'm going to start with a Blueprint Sketch, and this is a piece of scrap paper I have on here. All right, and I'm going to give this a nice coat, because I want there to be plenty of blue on the stencil. All right, so that's pretty good. Now, lift this up carefully. All right, so this, that's gorgeous, but I can set this aside because I'm not going to use that. That is basically scrap, but if you're going to spray this much, you don't want to waste it, right? So I've got that, and then now I have my actual piece that I'm going to be using for today's project. And there's a little bit of schmutz on that side. Okay, so now I can take this and place it down. Once you put it down, you're not picking it up, because it is now, that ink is now really stuck to the paper there. My hands now have ink on them. Okay. So that is kind of soaking into the paper. All right. Yeah, Teresa. So have them, haven't used them, right? So I have a ton of these, and I don't use them that often. So I thought, hey, we should use these. Okay, so now I have that down, and I want to fill in the space, and I'm going to use the Lucky Clover to fill in the space. Now you can't go too heavy on this, because you don't want it to bleed underneath. So just a couple spritzes to get it coated in the green pretty nicely. Come on, there we go. That's pretty good. So like 4 spritzes, just kind of letting it waft over the top. And now, there we go. Now this, I could totally like flip over and do something else with. I could keep going back and forth with that all day, couldn't I? But there you go. So actually, if I really wanted to, I could try to flip this onto the one that we just did with the watercolor paper and try to get an opposite. But this is all full of stuff, and yeah, I think I'm just going to set that aside and call it good. All right. Technically though, even if it dries on the stencil, I could reinvigorate it with some water and put it onto a piece of paper later if I wanted to. Okay, so this is almost dry. And can you see all the cool texture that that got from just being on regular paper instead of watercolor paper? I really like the way that that looks. And it doesn't bead the paper up or anything. It really does a nice job on just regular white cardstock. You don't have to use watercolor cardstock. All right, so that turned out pretty good. Okay, so we'll set that one aside. And this one that I just did is totally dry. So let's get to stamping. This is going to take us a little bit, but no big deal. Okay, so when I am working, and I'm going to put my piece of plastic in here just to protect this piece until we're ready to actually stamp. Okay, so I'm going to use my masks for this one, and I'm going to use the stamp set. So let me pull in my other one for reference, just so you can kind of see what's going to happen here. Okay, so I need to pick out some flowers that I like, and I decided that I liked this flower, and I liked this flower, and I liked this little one up here, and I'll pull in some leaves in a little bit. So the first thing, yeah, this is the 80-pound accent opaque white cardstock. Okay, so I need to start my arrangement. So what I like to do is actually stack up my arrangement the way I'd like it to look, and then decide what needs to go on top of what. So I really want this one to be kind of in the back, and then I want these two to be in front, kind of like so. All right, and then kind of arrange it where I want it to end up on the cardstock. Okay, so now what you can see here is that I have my stamps arranged onto the surface here. So these two I want to be full stamps, and this one is going to be a partial. And so I have it arranged exactly the way I want it to end up. And this works out really well because now I can take my lid and grab all of them, and then pull off this top one because this one's going to go back on later. Okay, so now I have my stamps that are going to end up in the front, and those are going to be full stamp. And I'm using Obsidian black. Any black will do for this technique because we're going to be doing just some extra detail with a black pen. All right, so there we go. Now I've got my two pieces in place, and I'm done with these flowers. All right. Yeah, the ready-made masks are really great. And I'm going to show you how I stick them so that they don't come off. Okay. So here we go. Let me pull out the mask. Now the masks for this, you only get the flowers. There are no leaf masks. So if you need to do any leaves, you would have to cut them out on your own. Okay, just a note on that. So here's the three that I'm going to be using, and they have an R on them. Do you know why they have an R on them? It's to tell me that this is right side up. I figured if I put a T on it, you wouldn't know because you would flip it either way and it would still look like a T. But if I have it flipped over, the R is backwards, and that tells me that it's upside down. All right, because I spent a lot of time like trying to figure out how these fit on here, and it's just easier to then add something on there to let you know which way it goes. Okay, so I like to use a temporary adhesive, and this is the Scrapbook Adhesives Easy Dots, and it's a repositionable adhesive. And it does actually stick to these little pieces of Mylar or whatever this is. So I put just a little bit on there, and then these line up perfectly. So sometimes if you're not sure, you have to kind of go around and around until you figure out, there we go. exactly how it's going to fit on there. All right, so that covered that one up. And then the same thing, a little bit of the adhesive, and it does come right off. So when I take it off of here, I can use my finger to just take the adhesive off of it, and it comes off for the most part. It comes off clean enough. All right, so now I've got my mask down on both of my flowers. All right, so now I can take this guy and kind of remember where I want it to go. Something along those lines. And I can stamp it. All right, now there is some thickness to this. So you are probably not going to get a perfect impression all the way right up to the edge. So I recommend having a journaling pen so you can fill in the space and get that to come right up to the edge. Although sometimes it works, like this time. So I'm very carefully going to take my towel here and just wipe this off. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to accidentally get my hand in there and then wipe it across my entire project. All right, and then I'm done here. Okay, so now I just need to add in some leaves. So first I will put on my third mask. And let's see, there we go. This one's kind of easy. All right, so all of my flowers are all masked up, and I just need to do some placement for some leaves. So like so, and I really liked the way I did this arrangement, so I'm just going to kind of copy it. That is not the same leaf, but that's okay. So I picked like 5 leaves because that was like a nice odd number, and it really helped to turn this into an arrangement. So there we go. And while we're at it, I could do my sentiment, but I think I'll wait. I'm just gonna wait. All right. So let's get this stamped on here. I hope you guys are having a good week so far. Tomorrow is Friday again already. All right. There we go. So on this one, I definitely have some lines that I need to clean up, but like I said, I can do that real easy with a journaling pen, and we're going to be using a journaling pen here in a minute anyway, so that's going to work out really great. Okay. So all of those are done. And there's nothing stopping you from using the sentiment that this set comes with. But if you want to, you can, you know, use a different sentiment from a different set, which is what we're going to do. Okay, so I need that later. Let's see, kids out of school for Education Association. Yay! So they have a day off tomorrow already. Crazy. Like when I was in school, I don't remember having so many days off. It seems like every time you turn around, there's a teacher or something or another. But I don't have kids, so I don't really pay attention to that. Oh, today and tomorrow? Geez, 2 days. That's so nice. Okay, so now I can gently pick up my masks. And if any of the adhesive is left behind, it's just a repositionable, so it really does just kind of roll right off. And then on the backs of these, I can just rub that off and the adhesive comes off. These can also be washed in just, you know, some warm sudsy water. Don't put them in the dishwasher, they will melt. And like magic, I have a cute arrangement. Exactly. Ooh, Paula had a vacation week. Woo, woo. I hope you got some crafting in. Okay, so that is one way to use these mask stencils. And so those are the mask pieces, of course. So this is kind of like the most obvious way to do that. And it will create a gorgeous arrangement for you. So, you know, before we go any further, let's pop on our sentiment. And then we'll truly be done with all the stamping on this. So I pulled out Hello and Hugs. This is one of my favorite Altenew sets. So, and Paula, that's what always happens. It's never enough. Never enough time on a vacation. So on the sample, I did Thankful for Our Friendship. This one I'm going to do Thinking of You, My Friend. And I love these sentiments because I don't have to use the hello or the hugs. I can just use the little sentiment strip and get a really nice small sentiment. I think that needs to come down a little bit on one side. So we're going to try to realign that. I tell you what, I've been doing this more and more, and I really am happy that I am, because it really does make my sentiments nice and square. Okay, let's give it a try. Oh, Becca, I will be here for the replay for sure. Okay, that looks better. So we'll miss you next week, but I'll make sure to say hi so you hear me on the replay. There. All right. So let's add some detail to this, shall we? All right, so again, that sentiment came from Hello and Hugs. It is a wonderful, wonderful stamp set. Okay. So this is actually basically done. You could be done with this card right now if you wanted to be. But I'm going to show you the before and after and show you how you can add more detail to this, which I think you're really going to like. Okay, so just popping this on a card base. All right, since I had to pull out my journaling pens anyway, and let me zoom us in on this. All right. Even closer, there we go. Okay, so I've got 2 journaling pens here. Any journaling pen will do. If you have micron pens, those work fantastic. Of course, these I happen to pick up from scrapbook.com, and they're really great. They're by American Crafts, and they're called precision pens. It comes in a whole set, like a 1, a couple of 3s, because that's a typical size, 5 and 8, and a 1.0, I believe, is also in there. So anyway, I'm going to use the 0.01. It's super tiny, but it is perfect for kind of lining in. Right. I don't know what I used that for last, but it wasn't ready to go. For lining in the detail that you lost there. All right, so I'm just getting all of these lines to match up. First, and then we're going to come back in and then we're going to do some extra detail stuff, which is going to be really cool. All right, and most of it is these little leaves. They just didn't want to match up over the mask, and that happens. Okay, so that is actually good enough. If you didn't want to do anything else to this card, you don't have to. Okay, so let's take a look at what you can do with it that really takes it to the next level. So this is plain. This one has detail added to it. Okay, and actually, guys, I'm going to zoom in even. It'd be helpful if I didn't drop the remote. Oh, that's That was almost really bad. What are the chances, guys? I literally just dropped that twice. Come out. Out, please. I need to put it on a lanyard so that it doesn't fall. Oh my goodness. So let's tighten this in even closer. Okay, hopefully that's not too close. Okay, so you see the detail on this? Yeah, okay, it's just dots and lines, right? It is not hard to do. Like I said, I'm using my 0.01, and this one already has some lines on it. So I'm going to add some more, and these are flick strokes, just like you would do with a alcohol marker. It's a flick stroke. Okay. So just adding some flick strokes. And some of them you're going to want them to be a little curved. This needs to have, oh, I see. I missed something along the lines of that. Okay, so you want these to be a little curved. I didn't quite like the way that that was looking yet. So then I came back in and I just did random dots. A little bit more concentrated towards the center, and then worked out less and less as I came farther out on the petal. All right, and then I even did some up here. So where the petal comes in, I did a little bit in each space like that. See how it got a little curved? That's a good thing. All right, and then if you want, you can do just a little kind of a detail around that way. All right, so already this flower is much more detailed and shining a little bit more than the rest. And if I want, I can kind of fill in a couple of these little here. Give this a little bit more depth. There. Okay, so the rest of these, I didn't do anything with the leaves. I left the leaves alone. But so for the rest of these, I did the same thing. So for this, just some flick strokes. And then some dots. And then coming in again, where it bends towards where you've got like a little concave in, a little line, and then just a couple little dots. And all of a sudden that petal really comes to life. All right, so keep going here. All right. So this takes a little bit of extra time. It just kind of depends on if you feel like doing it. You know, this is something where maybe you already have it stamped and you just want to do some doodling while you're watching TV or whatever. You can totally do that. It works that way for sure. I think these doodles on the end here really steps up these leaves. It really makes them look dimensional, especially if you're talking a one-layer card. So there we go, almost done with this. There. And then for these guys here, just maybe some short little lines just to add some kind of extra shading in the recesses where they overlap each other especially. And then I think, yeah, I even colored in the center here. There. All right, so that's 2. And then for this one, again, I just did kind of what I did on the flower here. Just added some little lines in the recesses here to make the different levels pop just a little bit more, so it's not just so flat. Even color in those center ones. If you wanted to, if you didn't want to doodle like this, you could do Zentangle if you liked Zentangle. I know my friend Amber Davis, she would do probably some Zentangle in these guys. That would be kind of cool. There, and that's it. So there we have it. Let me back out here. I'm not going to drop the remote. All right, so there you go. This one I did a little bit darker than this one, but they both have the same effect to them. And yeah, it's like a totally different stamp at this point because now you've done a little bit of highlighting and doodling. And you know, if you had stamped these and then painted them or colored them with markers, you would have done kind of the same thing with your markers. So it's very similar. It's just doing it in a monochromatic kind of way with the pens and things like that. Okay, so Zentangle is, I know you've seen it before, and I'm probably not going to do it justice, but say you had a triangle like this, and you wanted to fill it with a pattern, you could fill it with a pattern like this. Okay, so it's basically like pattern. I don't even know how to explain it. Maybe someone else can explain it better than I can, but it's like, I think of it always as like creating images and then adding patterns that give things dimension and visual interest. And each Zentangle pattern has its own name, and don't ask me what they are. My friend Amber, she's a certified Zentangle Zentangler, I guess. And she would know what they are. You can find them out, but it's Zentangle, Zentangle, exactly like that, except it's all one word. So something like that would be Zentangle, and then like maybe you had a whole bunch of triangles, and then on this one you decided to do, let's see, what other Zentangle patterns do I know? I'm only thinking of like difficult ones at the moment. So like something like this. I don't even know if this is a Zentangle pattern. It's similar to one that I've used before. So things like that. And you create like these really beautiful things with it. Yeah, okay, so Teresa, definitely look into Amber's class. It's one of the classes I took for my Altenew educator certification, and it was so good. I was afraid. I thought, oh, I'm never going to be good at this. It was so good, and it's totally doable. So she teaches you lots of really great things, and then it just really inspired me to give it a try. Okay, so yeah, like when you take bubble letters and like you fill them in with patterns and things like that, that's kind of like what Zentangle is. All right, so you could totally do that with these flowers. All right, so first card done. Fancy doodling. Yes, that is the easy way of saying Zentangle. Fancy doodles. Awesome. Thank you. You guys all came to my rescue on that one. Okay. So first card done. let's take a look at our second card. And actually, we're going to be perfect on time. Like I said, I wasn't sure how that was going to come together. But yeah, that came together really well. Okay, so this guy is nice and dry. Yes, it's dry. All right, and that turned out really, really gorgeous. Gorgeous. And oh, I guess that blue is still left over from me playing with that earlier. Okay, so for this one, we're gonna use the stencil part of the mask stencil. And I'm going to use my iCrafter brush. I like the small one for this technique because it gives me good control. And this is what we're going for. So we already have the background almost complete. We just need to do some stenciling. So Ms. Tamp, go into that class and take it. Take it this weekend. It's so good. You will not regret it. You're going to love it. Okay, so for this one, I need lots of Post-its because I need to mask these off. Now, normally I would use like masking paper or something, but I'm going to keep going around and picking different flowers from the masks. So I want to have the freedom to be able to move around my Post-its quickly. So Post-its work really well for this. So I have one flower blocked off here. I'm going to use my Obsidian Black because I love the way this gives me super crisp lines around the edges. So you're going to love the way this looks. But it's definitely important to mask everything off, including the outside edge, so that way you don't get anything on your project underneath, because that would just be a travesty to have done the work on this background and then to get a stray blended brush, like whoops, that would be awful. Okay, so keep me honest, guys. Hey, it's Heidi, everyone. So glad to see you, Heidi. What's for dinner? All right, so you see how easy this Obsidian Black goes on here? I love how easy that is. It is just on there. It's so gorgeous. So Teresa, if you have 20 classes, you should go back and look at the Altenew Educator program, because I bet you a lot of the classes that you have would qualify you for the educator program, and you could become an educator if you wanted to. All right, so there you go. There is one. This sounds like, or looks like it's going to take a while maybe, but it's really not too bad. So second one, I'm going to pop a flower off the edge here. And I'm going to use I'm just going to pop this underneath there. That's mostly so I don't have to come back with a towel and clean up. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother with it. The Post-its also help to hold everything in place. Yeah, okay, so Teresa, are you talking about the educator program? Oh, yay, and congratulations. I'm sure you're going to absolutely love it. I really enjoyed going through the program. I found it super beneficial to help understand the Altenew product and get up to speed on some different techniques that I wasn't familiar with. And now I am not only an educator, but I do design work for Altenew. So sometimes they bring in people as guest designers and things like that. So if that's something that you're interested in, it's totally worth looking into. The educator program is 3 levels plus like a live class. And basically you go through and take a whole bunch of Altenew Academy classes, and you have to submit your projects. When I did it, I had to submit my projects via a blog, but I think now you can use Instagram instead if you prefer. But you have to submit a project for each class that you take, not a project for each module of the class. So like say you're taking Amber's Zentangle class, you would just have to do one project based on her Zentangle class. So it's based on the class, and you share it on your social media or on your blog or whatever. And then the educator facilitators, which is Virginia Liu and Aram Tasneem, they come in and they give you comments, and then they let you know whether you pass that particular class or not. And so in level 1, you go through 10 courses. And then level 2, you have 10 more classes to do. And then level 3 is 5 classes. And then after that, you have to do a live class. So it is 25 classes plus your own little live thing, which they've been doing on Zoom lately because of the pandemic. So how expensive is it? Basically, you're paying for the classes and then any supplies, but you don't necessarily need to use all Altenew supplies, because I didn't, and people still don't now. So it's more about the techniques and things like that in a lot of cases. So, and they give you a discount code for the classes. So it's just something, it's something definitely worth looking into if you want to do what I do and be a designer, or if you're interested in educating people about Altenew in general, because it gives you like kind of like an official avenue to do that. So as an educator, Altenew will sponsor you if you wanted to do classes at like a local craft shop. They would support you with that and give you discounts for the product, so you weren't paying out of pocket and you could make a profit from it. There's all sorts of benefits of being an educator if that's what you want to do. Otherwise, it's just worth it to take the Altenew Academy classes, because they're just really well thought out classes and you learn a lot of great things. So, okay, so if you see what I'm doing here, so keep asking questions about it and I will answer them, is I've got 3 big flowers, 1, 2, 3. And look, I put them in a triangle pattern. Is that surprising? No, because that's kind of how we work, right? So, but I have this whole like strip of small flowers, and I was able to fit them in between. And this is going to look good this way. So I can just do all of these at once. Let's see. So all sorts of people asking. Oh, thanks, Teresa. I appreciate the compliment. I was looking at something earlier today at a project that I had submitted about this time last year when I started applying for design teams. And I was like, yikes, my photos are so much better than they were just a year ago. That's crazy. So, and my videos are better and all that stuff. So, but those were goals that I had, and I'm glad that I've been able to achieve those goals. And part of that was, you know, working with Altenew. So, and I started the Altenew Educator Program in February of 2019. And I was finished with it 6 months later. But you don't have to go that fast. That was a goal of mine. I wanted to be done with it within 6 months. A lot of people take longer, and that's okay too. So, there. Okay, so there we go. I have the dropsies today, guys. That would have been really bad, but I did not get any on my clothes, which is good. Yeah, sometimes they have them on sale. Yes, Ms. Tamp, for sure. And there's a whole section on the Altenew website about the educator program and what, I think it even tells you what classes you need to take for level 1 and 2. So, okay, so we're almost done with this. And I got fuzz on this from it landing on my floor. Okay, so I just need to kind of fill up this space here and maybe a little bit down here. And so this is kind of the point where you just freeform it and you say, oh, this one will look good here. And for these smaller flowers, I'm not too concerned about going over the edge because I can keep my blender from getting too crazy. All right. And let's see. Teresa, were you in the class that I just did, the Zoom class where we did this with the jasmine? I forget which class you were just in with me. There we go. Oh, Heidi, yuck. Well, I hope the surgery is helping. And sorry, I was quiet there for a minute. I was reading Heidi's comments. So yeah, get well soon, Heidi. And I hope the surgery was a success on your first eye. I'm guessing it was. So yeah. Okay, so this cleans off really easily. No big deal. Just have to watch out for all these little edges. You don't want to grab them too hard and have them pop up and that kind of thing. You want to keep them as nice and flat as possible. All right. So there we go. All right, so there is our finished background. And put this on. Gotcha, Teresa. Signed up for the last class that I did. What was the last class I did? I think it was the jasmine one. We did a technique that was super similar to this. So that was a good class. I really liked the cards from that class. All right, yeah, so at first I thought this could be a real winner or it could be a real womp womp, but I love the way this turned out. So it is, I thought, oh, this could be just too much, too busy for a background. But with the black on here, it just really pops, even with that pattern in the background. So if you didn't want to go to the extent of creating your own background with the stencils or the double stencil technique like we just did, pick a piece of pattern paper, say that 5 times fast, and do the same thing with the blackout on the with the stencil. So yeah, Teresa, then you're gonna love that class because we did a technique like that with the stencil that comes with the jasmine set. It was super fun. So you better watch the replay. I don't know how long those stay available. But yeah, you'll definitely want to catch that. Okay, so for the stamp on this one, I pulled out Fabulously Perfect. This is one of those single stamps that I got from Picket Fence not too long ago. And I thought that was like fantastic. For this one. So, oh, and so originally I thought maybe I would do something like this and just pop it in the center, which would be kind of nice too. I was messing around with my brother's Scan and Cut. Yay, if you didn't hear, I got one for my birthday. I was super, super surprised because it was a surprise from my husband. And I was messing around with the Scan and Cut software to learn how to create a freeform outline around a set of words. So it's definitely a learning curve with that, but I was pretty happy with that result. It took me a while. Okay, but then I decided I was just going to go for a strip because it looks better. And my ink. Okay, so we are doing some more Obsidian Black. I do a lesson on how to do that. Okay. I'll try. I need a little more practice, but as soon as I feel comfortable with it, I will let you know. Yeah, I'm using YouTube to learn a lot too. So you're not the only one, Roberta. Yeah, I think I'm going to be the same way, Teresa. There's just sometimes that a die is quicker, easier, it makes more sense. So like, I like to like cover dies and things that are like standalone dies that don't necessarily come with the stamp set are still things that I might get I might get anyway, right? Because otherwise you've got to find like a clip art or something that you can run through the machine to have it cut out. And that just seems like too much work. So, and yeah, Roberta, please do share who you're watching, because I might go check that out myself. All right, so this is just going to pop right on here. And ooh, Teresa, that sounds like fun too. That was obviously like pre-COVID. But I bet you it was totally worth it. Did you remember a lot? Okay, so there we go. It looks nice just on its own, but I thought I'd add some freeform sequins mix. And this is the Green Mountains sequins mix from Catherine Pooler. And I need my tweezers. Okay, so for this, it was kind of a happy accident. I pulled out a little handful of them and I started laying them out. And then I was like, oh, that looks nice. And I just glued them down. So it wasn't anything planned out. I just took a couple and put them down and said, oh, I like the way that looks. Oh, this particular mix has seed beads in it too, which you can use as well. Okay, so, but these are all like sticking to my fingers today. I want these big ones. So it ended up just being like this little freeform thing where I was like, oh, here's where they go. And I didn't even bother to like replace anything, but I really had like a good mix when I pulled them out. So I am going to have to kind of orchestrate this a little. Maybe I'll even put a seed bead on there, because those are fun. You just want to make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You want to make sure that you have basically an odd number. So the Paper Chef. Okay. I will have to check them out. Good to know. Thanks for the recommendation, ladies. Oh, so I should mention, I did do a Instagram story over the weekend on unboxing my Scan and Cut. I need to add it into a highlight though. So if you don't subscribe to me on Instagram, find me over there and I'll add it to my highlights. I should probably just add it in tonight. That would be fine. There. So that, and then I said, well, I need more on the other side. This isn't working out so well as far as like just dropping them today because they're really sticking to my fingers. All right, let's see what we can get here. Can't have too many of these big ones. How about, that looks good. So the sequins end up getting kind of like a scattered look, just like the flowers are on the page, which is kind of what I wanted it to mimic. There. That'll work. I think that one's upside down. Oh, yeah. I'd already kind of figured that one out, Roberta, how to close off the stamp images. It was the words that I was a little confused on, and I didn't realize that the scan and cut was going to try to cut out words that are separated. So I had to learn how to use the software to do what I did. But it worked. So I was pretty happy with that. All right. Since I've had the dropsies today, I really want to get that closed. All right. I've got a little bit of glue. So there we go. So 2 more cards today using our Stamp Focus set. And I think that they turned out super fun. Some new techniques, right? So I always try to pull out some new techniques for you guys using the ink sprays, because that was something that we hadn't really done before. So ink sprays are an awesome choice for this stamp set. Of course, using the masks really takes us up to another level. So there we go, guys. And we had a little bit of crafty chat along the way about all sorts of great things. We talked about Altenew Academy and the Educator series and Scan and Cut. So yeah, guys, let me get a little more comfortable with that, and we'll see what I can do to bring that into our Thursday lives, because I think some of you obviously would be kind of interested in that. So there we go, guys, and we are just a few minutes before 5 o'clock, so I hit the goal. Like I said, I wasn't sure if we were going to get these done in time, but obviously we did. So I'm so glad you guys joined me today. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up on your way out, and do share it with your friends. Even though this is going to go into replay, of course, you know, you can come back and watch these at any time and do the projects along with me. So please do share this out with your friends and invite them to come along and hang out with us live, because I would love to have all sorts of people hanging out with us. So thank you so much for joining me today, guys. Have a fantastic weekend. I hope you fit in a little bit of craft time for yourself. Don't forget to tag me out on social media if you're using any of our projects, or if you're participating in the sketch challenge, which is going on live right now on my blog, because, you know, I like to see what you guys are working on, absolutely, and to share that with my community as well. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys again next week. We will have 2 more projects using this fantastic stamp set, and I hope you guys have a great week. Bye.